was muted. Hello, everyone, and welcome back here to another edition of Next Gen Jets. Chris, the second night in a row, I was muted to start the intro. We did that on last night's show, and it happened again here tonight. So I'm sorry, guys, but welcome back to another edition of Next Gen Jets. I'm your host, Connor Long, joined by my co-host, Chris Grasso, Jack Connor. Super happy to be with you guys all here on this Sunday evening. If you're new to the show, Next Gen Jets live here on the Connor Long NY Flight Jets Talk YouTube channel every single Sunday night at 7 p.m. EST. So if you want to come in, hang out, talk all things New York Jets, pop in here. Super, super fun. If you want to call into the show, you could do so with the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Throw all your questions in for Chris, Jack, and I, and smash the like, hit subscribe. Completely free, helps us grow significantly. Paid way, you have an opportunity to earn some prize as well if you super chat and gift memberships. Every gifted membership, every $2.99 super chat will get you a ticket into our membership raffle. But nevertheless, let's hand it over to you, Chris. First, how you doing tonight?
No, I'm doing good. I'm ready to talk some Jets. A lot of stuff to talk about as always.
Jack?
Again, thank you, Connor, for having me on for this Week 3 edition of Next Gen Jets, and I'm ready to talk tonight.
For sure. So I'm super happy all three of us are able to be here for the third edition of Next Gen Jets. So it's a newer show here on the channel, but we're really looking to grow it. So I appreciate all your support, guys, as always. But let's get into we'll start off with the draft topic today before we get into who the Jets should really extend. Now, Jack, Rich Cimini of ESPN released his weekly news dump. And in that, he does multiple sections from his insider report. And one of the sections, he revealed 3 players the Jets could potentially draft: Tyler Warren, Armand Membu. Obviously, those are the names that had a lot of lists. Another offensive tackle, though, I want to get your opinion on here, Jack. Will Campbell from LSU. How do you feel about Campbell?
I think he's really talented, right? Especially coming from a big school like LSU. But I feel like the main problem with the Jets right now is the interior offensive line. So I could see the Jets, if the Jets go in a universe that they draft him, maybe trade down to draft him, because I don't really see the Jets picking him at 7. Really, I think there's other needs at 7. But if the Jets were to trade down, I feel like he'd be a good asset to this offensive line. And I feel like he would be a good asset maybe to move to the interior O-line, because I feel like that's really what we need more than our tackles, right? We have Olu Fashanu. But we also do need that right tackle spot filled out. So I wouldn't be mad if the Jets maybe kept him at tackle, but I'd like to see if they can draft him, maybe move him into interior offensive line. So really, I'm happy wherever they put him, and I'm interested to see what they can do if they do draft him.
Why do you think he could potentially slide in and play the interior? What about his skill set tells you that?
I just really like how the way he I don't know if it's really anything specific. I just feel like again, it's just a guess at this point, right? I'm not really not really that high on him anyway, so I haven't really, put in any additional time really studying him that much. But I mean, just off what I've seen, I definitely feel like he can play a multi-position player, tackle or guard. I just feel like he's better, I think he's a really good pass blocker, especially like interior. I feel like not interior, excuse me. I just feel like, I don't know, it's just really a guess at this point. I just feel like the Jets need an interior offensive lineman, and I feel like maybe they could slide him in if they're really desperate to. If they can't find a good
don't
guard.
like him, but you like his versatility, and you think the Jets should draft him?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the Jets really need an interior offensive lineman, and at this point, I can really accept really anybody if they're coached well. And I know we haven't seen anything really of this new coaching regime, but I feel like Will Campbell can be a guy like that. Yes.
Chris, what are your thoughts on Armand Membu and the potential of the Jets drafting him with the 7th overall pick if he's still on the board?
Obviously, we know with Membu, he shot up draft boards quickly, had a great combine. He's a guy that you can count on to be 10 yards down the field blocking, which is a quality you look for in all offensive linemen. However, I don't think the Jets should draft him because we need pass catchers. The tight end room is barren and the wide receiver room is barren. Guys I have my eye on at pick 7, I think the Jets are going to take is Tyler Warren, and I wouldn't be mad at Tet either, but Tyler Warren just keeps on getting more and more appealing to me. He's a guy who can help out a right tackle, because we don't have right tackle solidified right now, so can line up on that right side, help chip the end. He can catch the ball. He blocks well, and he can be in wildcat formation. So he's really a dynamic playmaker who can do it all. Locker room guy. He could be our George Kittle. So I'm really high on Warren. I think the pick here is either Warren or Tet McMillan.
Jack, if you were to put 3 guys in order, the top 3 of who you want the Jets to draft from 3 to 1, what would that order look like?
Well, one obviously for me is Tyler Warren, right? He's a 3-in-1 package if you draft him, right? Like Chris said, he can run, he can throw even, and obviously he can catch. He's definitely the best tight end in this entire draft class by far. Second is either probably Colson Loveland. I would say he's not really on the level of Tyler Warren in any way. Yes, Loveland is good. I just feel like Warren is significantly better, and I feel like if you have that 3-in-1 package, put him at number 1 for me. 2 is Ted McMillan, obviously, because we have a huge gap between Corley and Wilson at our receiver 2 spot, and I feel like with McMillan's athleticism, I really like his athleticism a lot. So I feel like, especially because if he's one of the top receivers in this draft class, I really like him to fill our wide receiver 2 spot. And number 3, I would say is possibly either Armand Membu, maybe I like him a lot, or I'm probably gonna go Membu at 3 here.
Another player who obviously the Jets drafted in the first round, 2022, someone who's done instrumental things for this franchise as a whole, Sauce Gardner. And he's going to be up for a contract extension next offseason. Texans paid Derek Stingley. J.C. Horn was paid by the Carolina Panthers. Jack, how much money per season are you willing to give Sauce Gardner?
As of right now, I'm going to say probably between 24 and 27 million annually. I'm going to say because, the cornerback position is rising up, or the prices are rising up by the day. I think they should give him the extension now more than ever. But I feel like, as that money goes up, you really got to pay him as much as you can. So I'm going to say around 24 to 27 million annually.
Chris, how do you feel about that?
My thoughts on this, give him a blank check. Get him extended back here as soon as possible. He's a cornerstone on this defense. He wants to be a Jet, and he's really a key piece in the defense. So I'm in the same realm as Jack, but I think, however much money you want and as long as you can get him for, extend him as fast as possible. Do it tonight.
For sure. Yeah, Sauce Gardner, he's someone, a down year for him is still being a top 5 cornerback in the NFL. You look what he did his first 2 seasons in the league, arguably the best cornerback in the NFL. And then now I even hate to call it this somewhat down season where he's still measured out to be a top 7 cornerback in the NFL.
It wasn't even that bad.
Him and Garrett Wilson are the 2 guys from that draft class I feel comfortable paying today. Jack, a topic on our show last night with Chris was, should the Jets trade Breece Hall? Where are you in that boat, and how much would you be willing to take for Breece?
I'm not willing to trade him because I feel like, obviously we haven't seen everything out of him yet, but I still would like to. He definitely has a lot of upside, a lot of potential. Yes, that injury in his rookie season probably derailed his speed a lot. I would say I've noticed he wasn't really as fast as he was in his rookie season, but he's still shown a lot of promise, right? Although maybe he's not the perfect running back as anyone really expected to be. Everyone expected him to be like a top 3 running back heading into 2024. Wasn't the case. I feel like I know this is getting like old, but I feel like a lot of people are saying the coaching was the issue. Yes, that's half the issue, but I feel like the other half was also himself, right? I feel like he's also got to, work on some things, right? I think, some things, I feel like also the Jets didn't treat him right. What I'm really trying to say is I feel like the Jets aren't really using him as they should. They've ran up the middle with him a lot of times. They ran him with the inside gaps a lot of times. I really feel like he's an outside running back. And I feel like if Tanner Engstrand can really utilize that, maybe punch Braylon Allen up the middle more, but you maybe use Breece as really a more receiving back or an outside running back. I feel like then we'll be able to see Breece Hall's true form. And I definitely feel like I want to wait on that and see if that doesn't work out again. Sure, shop him. Maybe I'll take him for like a 3rd round pick or something like that. Second round, fourth round pick, even probably within that range. I just don't feel like he's done that much to really earn a 1st round or 2nd round pick, I would say. But I would like to see what Engstrand does with him this season.
Well, I'm going to push back on a few things you said there, Jack, and I kind of want to go back and forth with you on this topic. They can't trade him after this season, first off, because his contract expires. He doesn't have a 5th-year option. So either trade him now, you play out the year, you see if you extend him. I don't think the Jets are extending him by any circumstance, but you said you wouldn't trade Breece Hall, but you said the knee injury in his rookie season completely derailed his speed, which a knee injury...
I didn't say completely. I just said it did a little bit.
You said it significantly derailed his speed, which one injury in your rookie season that, quote, significantly derails your speed can ruin a running back's career forever. So you're saying you wouldn't take a 3rd and a 5th round pick for someone who hasn't shown he's a top running back in this league, someone who, you literally said it yourself, it's not fully the coaching staff's fault. You wouldn't take a 3rd and a 5th round pick for someone like that, but you literally laid out all the negatives there.
I still feel like he can improve. That's just what I'm saying. And if he shows up this season,
on him improving with a first-time coaching staff instead of picking up.
Yes, I am. I think it's a smart decision. You can't just
super strong running back class, but you just said half of it's not even the coaching staff's fault.
Yeah, of course. I'm just saying if he improves himself, which I feel like he has the full capability of doing, right? If again, it goes both ways. If he can work on stuff this offseason, if the coaching can get better, utilize him well, I would like to take another chance on him. Yes, and if it doesn't work out, sure, don't re-sign him. That's just my opinion.
Chris, I know your stance on this, but I'm gonna keep it going here. I kind of want to move on to the main topic of today's show, which is the top players the Jets should extend. We're on the offense, so we might as well stick with someone who's been a key part of the Jets' offensive line play over the past few years. That's Elijah Vera Tucker, someone we know who's dealt with injuries for a long, long time throughout his career. But when he's healthy, he seems to be an all-pro, and you can really plug and play wherever you want with him on the offensive line. He can play four of the five starting offensive line positions. I think you do everything you can to try to retain a guy like Elijah Vera Tucker, and I would be open to paying him now, Chris.
I 100% agree with you. Elijah Vera Tucker, is one of the returning guys we have on this offensive line, and you want to keep that group of people, those group of guys together. I mean, Elijah Vera Tucker has been a staple on this offensive line when he's healthy, and maybe not putting him in positions he's not comfortable playing, like tackle, where he's gotten hurt. And both times he's gotten hurt, it's been at Mile High Stadium, so he vowed to never play there again. So I'm sure we won't have to. I hope we don't have to deal with that cursed field ever again.
Oh.
Never play there, but I love Elijah Vera Tucker. I think he's one of the guys we should really focus on extending quickly.
Jack, how do you feel?
I like him, right? Especially because Chris said he's been riddled with injuries. I know I messed that word up last week. I got it right this week, though. But I definitely feel like he's been a little bit injury prone. But when we have him, when he is healthy, I feel like he's dominant, and I feel like the Jets should utilize that well. Maybe sign him to a 4-year, $44 million contract or something like that. I would say around that range. I would say, and I definitely feel like the Jets should keep him, right? Especially because O-line's one of our desperate needs right now, especially with interior. I feel like because he can play multiple, positions on the offensive line. I just think he's a really dominant player, and I feel like the Jets should re-sign him. That's someone who I think they should.
Chris, I know you were a huge fan of the Jermaine Sherwood extension. Another linebacker who's been a key part of this team's defense over the past few seasons, Quincy Williams, All-Pro in 2023. You think the Jets are going to be willing to hand Quincy a blank check next season after he significantly outplayed his second contract with this team?
Well, the answer to that question is I hope. Quincy Williams is someone who's is going to fly around the field, make all the tackles. He's playing downhill basically. Watching him play is amazing. The tackles he makes. You saw that hit on Kyler Murray where his helmet went flying off. This guy is someone who's exciting to watch, and he's among people who I hope the Jets are willing to pay. But there's been talks about trading him. I hope that all gets put to rest soon. I hope we offer him a nice deal. He takes it, and he's back here with his brother Quinton.
Jack, how do you feel on this subject with Quincy Williams?
I think Quincy's a leader, right? I really think you need to keep a leader here, especially like Quincy Williams, but he also has the skill set, right? We saw it last season, obviously last season maybe wasn't his best season. He still had an awesome season though, 70 solo tackles, 2 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and 0 INTs last season. However, his best season came in 2023 where he had, 67 solo tackles, 1 interception, 95 total tackles, and 2 forced fumbles. I feel like, that's the type of guy you really need on this team, especially lining up next to Jermaine Sherwood. And if we want to keep this defense up and going, you have to re-sign him. He's one of your key aspects on this defense, especially at that linebacker position, especially because this depth right now at linebacker position is really not that much, right? I really feel like the only 2 guys I can really trust right now in this linebacker room are Jermaine Sherwood and Quincy Williams. So I feel like we should re-sign him to at least, maybe a 1-year deal or something, like a 1-2-year deal, I would say. Maybe see how it goes from there. But I definitely feel like, you gotta get him back on this team.
Why wouldn't you want to bring him back on a multi-year deal? Because I feel like signing him to a 1-year deal is just a Band-Aid that kicks the can down the road. Meanwhile, he was a first-team All-Pro just a few years ago.
No, you're right. That's my fault. I should probably maybe around a 4-year deal, maybe bring him back for, because like I said, he's just a beast on the field, and I really feel like the Jets should take advantage of that. Maybe, like you said, sign him to a long-term deal. That's my fault.
How old is Quincy? He's like 28, right?
28, yeah.
28,
yes.
29.
Yes, it's like 3-4 year deal is perfect for him. You get him maybe until he retires. That would be ideal.
Yeah, we have to. I really want to keep Quincy around. I don't think you just let all pros walk for nothing. But at the same time, I want to see how he fits into this defensive scheme. That's the same question with Jermaine Sherwood. They thrived in the Robert Saleh, Jeff Ulbrich defensive scheme. How do they fit into the Aaron Glenn, Steve Wilkes mold as not only from a schematic standpoint, but also from a personality standpoint, a trait standpoint. So that's something I'm certainly going to look out for this season. Going back to the 2022 rookie class, Garrett Wilson, Chris, what are you going to pay him? Are you paying him 4 for 120?
I'm paying him whatever he wants. If it means making him the highest paid receiver, well, maybe not that crazy, but
That's asinine, yeah.
But when it comes to the 2022 class, like basically all the first round guys and Breece and Jermaine, just get them extended as soon as possible. I remember watching that class when I had COVID, and it was the only bright spot. It holds a special place in my heart. You cannot let any of those guys go. Garrett. We need to get Garrett and Sauce back, and they need to do it this offseason. They need to do it as soon as possible. I know we're all still waiting. Just get it done, Muji, please.
Appreciate you all tuning in. Make sure you smash the like and you are subscribed to the channel. We're thinking of doing a Next Gen Jets game meetup, so I put a poll at the top of the chat, so vote on there if you haven't already. Appreciate you all tuning in. Smash the like, hit subscribe. Completely free super chats, memberships as well. A great way to support the show and give you a chance to win into our membership raffle. So keep the questions coming. We'll answer those. Call into the show with the comment in the chat. Can't thank you enough for all your support. As always, we're going to start with this comment here from our guy Alan, who comes in and says, this D needs a bigger linebacker to complement Jamie Sherwood. Jack, are there any bigger linebackers on the open market or in free agency that you're looking at?
I mean, not really right now, I would say. Again, not a lot of guys that really appeal a lot to me. I think Quincy's fine. I really think he's proved a lot for the Jets. Of course, maybe he's not the biggest linebacker in the world, but of course he's proved that he can be a dominant, hard-hitting, just a great player overall in our defense. And I feel like that's really, a lot. Maybe we should get some depth in this linebacker position, sure. But I definitely feel like, Quincy is just fine for me. Maybe draft a linebacker in the later rounds this season.
You're not surprised. You're not scared of entering the season, Jack, with these guys who are. You have one light linebacker in Jamie Sherwood, and then one insanely light linebacker in Quincy Williams. You're not concerned with that?
Not really. No, I mean, maybe a little bit because I feel like they've proved a lot to especially because Jamie Sherwood's played this whole season. Yes, he was, like you say, he was with Robert Saleh's defense. He had CJ Mosley by his side, but not for a lot of the season, right? And I feel like the Jets, maybe the Jets defense didn't really have a great season last year, but I feel like, they've proved a lot already to us to make sure that they're trustworthy guys to keep on that field, right? You don't really always need a Ray Lewis. You don't always really need a Lawrence Taylor type of guy on the field, right? You just have to have a guy
You're comparing a potential guy like Jeffrey Bassa from Oregon in day 2 of the draft to Lawrence Taylor. Or
No. I'm talking about Jamie and Sherwood and Quincy Williams. Right? You don't really need them to be like that big and that. Of course, you need them to be big and strong, but you don't need them to be that level in order to be competent and aggressive in this league, right? I feel like they've already proved themselves to the point where we can trust them. Of course, we need depth in this linebacker position, but I feel like if you're talking about starters here, those two are just fine for me. I feel like I said, they've proved themselves to me already.
Here's the thing. They've proved themselves with Robert Saleh. They have not proved themselves to Aaron Glenn.
But I feel like this game is only going to get better with Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilkes.
It might get better, but it could change.
It could. It could. But excuse me.
It's going to change. Not it could change. It is going to change, hands down. So it's not that it's going to be, who knows? Maybe the Aaron Glenn-led defense is 10 times worse and less effective than the Robert Saleh-led defense. I hope that's not the case. But you just never know when it comes to a complete regime change. So certainly interesting to look out for this linebacker room and how they perform this season. So I'll go over here to a comment from our Patriots fan. Datien says, I prefer Gonzalez over Sauce Gardner. If I'm judging off last season, Christian Gonzalez is the better player, for sure. Last season, Christian Gonzalez was a better player, but career-wise, I'm taking Sauce, Chris.
Yeah, maybe last season, if you're going to give the benefit of the doubt to Gonzalez, then fine. But going forward, again, with Glenn being a former corner and this D coordinator Wilkes, I'm optimistic that the Sauce is going to have a career year next year, and he's going to up his game to the next level, even bigger than what we've seen in his rookie year. So I'm excited about Sauce. I think I'd slow down calling Gonzalez better than him. Gonzalez is without a doubt a great player, but saying Sauce is probably, I think the corners in this league go Surtain and then Sauce. Sauce is an elite cover corner. You cannot deny that. So I feel like it's only going to get better. So we'll see on that. Let's wait another year.
How do you feel, Jack?
I agree. I think I would take Gardner really over Gonzalez. Of course, like you're saying, if it was based off last season, Gonzalez, because like we said, Gardner had a down year, but it really wasn't even that bad. Still top 5 corner in the NFL. But if we're talking overall career here, Gardner's the better option. I just feel like better in man coverage. I just feel like he's a lockdown corner. I feel like, and if he can show you that he's consistent with that, then sure, I'll take Gardner any day really over Gonzalez. Yes, Gonzalez is good. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying if you're asking me for long-term longevity, I'm taking Gardner.
Paul comes in and makes a really, really solid point regarding Braylon Allen as well. If the Jets don't utilize him and can go somewhere else when he becomes a free agent, he's a big running back. The Jets underutilize him. Right now, Chris, I would trade Braylon Allen for a second-round pick in an absolute heartbeat. That's a steal.
So you're going to trade Braylon Allen and Breece, who's going to be your running back?
It would be one of the other.
Well, I think I say this. I'll say this again. I don't think you can judge the way any player has played or utilized in this past coaching staff. They suck. They were so bad. They were the worst in the NFL. That's the worst coaching team we've ever seen.
Actually, I'll let you finish. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go.
You're good. You're good. That was the worst coach team we've ever seen. So you can't judge the way players played or been utilized. I was sitting at my house on my couch this season watching Jet games, right? And this regime failed. I mean, this coaching staff failed to realize that you have to run Breece outside and Braylon inside. I was sitting on my couch and I could know that. How did our coaching staff not? I don't know, but I have more confidence in this next coaching staff to realize that Breece is a fast guy who has elite acceleration. Maybe you get him in space outside instead of running up the middle where it's crowded, rather than running Braylon in there. So I'm waiting to see how we use our players this year, and it better be different because we have so many good players in this team. We cannot waste more and more years due to shitty coaching.
I mean, I'll say this about Braylon Allen. He didn't show that much. He should have had a lot more rushing touchdowns if a 77-year-old didn't audible out of every single run play at the 2-yard line so he could stat pad his numbers and throw 28 touchdowns in a season. But this is what I look at. I would much rather take a guy like Quinshawn Judkins from Ohio State in this year's draft than Braylon Allen. I think you could find a bigger running back, and I'm not saying it's Judkins. I think Judkins is just like Breece Hall. I think the Jets kind of have to pick their poison when it comes to what they're going to go with at the running back room. Look at what the Lions did. David Montgomery, not too much of a power back. Jahmyr Gibbs, that speedy guy. I want the Jets to kind of pick their poison, Jack, and not really stay torn between, are you going to go power? Are you going to go speed and elusiveness? I think you pick your poison.
I mean, I can see where you're coming from, Connor, right? But I also feel like, utilizing both can be well as well. Like we said, I know you don't really see Braylon Allen as a fullback type of guy. I don't really see that either. But if you can use it well, maybe a triple option with him, Fields. And I know, I'm just saying, maybe use him as maybe a triple option between Breece, him, and Justin Fields. I feel like maybe it could work well together. And maybe if you just mold it right into the offense, I definitely feel like Chris said, go up the middle with him, a goal line situation like we should have done done against Denver in general, right? You could really use him in both ways. And I feel like the Jets should use him in both ways. You need variety when it comes to this position. I really do. Because you can use them for if you want to have a variety, if you want to have a playbook worth of variety, you need to have both type of running backs. That's just my preference.
Let me jump in here quick, Connor. So you want to either have an elusive back or a power back. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
So you don't see the value in having a two-headed
monster?
What
that's what I want to tender my running back room towards. Correct.
But you saw the benefits of having one power back and one elusive back in
I didn't.
Sonic and Knuckles. What do you mean?
5 games. They had barely any rushing touchdowns. They were barely able to get in space. I didn't see the benefits. No, I didn't.
They were a good team. Like they made a deep
5 games. Whoa, winning 5 games and not being able to run the football.
I'm talking about the Lions. You saw the benefits they had of having a running back room, elusive back, and power back, and Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery.
David Montgomery's not a power back.
That's what they used him as.
Yeah, but it wasn't. They were able to use him like that because they had a top 5 offensive line he was able to run off the edge. Penei Sewell is able to set an edge. Frank Ragnow was able to clear the pressure in the middle of the defensive line. The Jets still haven't shown us that they have an elite offensive line who are able to do that for the running backs. Plus, the Lions also had so many decoys in the passing game. Jamison Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta. That's why the play action was so effective. The Jets don't have that. That's why that running back tandem was so effective last year. The Jets don't have that, and that's all I have to say.
I get that point 100%. I'm still interested in keeping Breece and Braylon and seeing how they work together, especially this year with good coachings. And if you're gonna move him, at least wait till the trade deadline this year for Breece, which I still think is crazy. But just don't move Braylon at all. But one question I was gonna ask you is, why are you interested in taking running back this year when we already have our room solidified and we have so much more needs?
I said if you trade someone, first off, I didn't say I just want to take them flat
So
out.
you think the Jets would realistically trade someone in the coming weeks?
I would rather have Quinshon Judkins or even I would rather have a guy like Quinshon Judkins, a guy like Trayvon Henderson. I would rather have one of those guys. I'm just still trying to think of some other running backs off the top of my head.
Well, why are you rushing?
Be there in one of the later rounds. Even like a Cam Scatterbo, if he were to fall, a Dylan Sampson, a Caleb Johnson, I would be interested in those guys because I just think they are better players than Braylon Allen.
Well, again, that could be playing with fire, right? Because they haven't even stepped on an NFL field yet. How do you know they're going to be some NFL superstar,
And
right?
don't judge the way they played last year. Don't judge. Don't you know.
You have to.
It's the coaching staff, though. We have the worst.
The coaching staff takes some blame, but they are still the players playing football on the field. That's like saying, why is Garrett Wilson? That's like saying Garrett Wilson would have 2,500 receiving yards if he played with Patrick Mahomes. Like you can't just say that. You can't blame every single thing on the coaching staff.
The coaching staff sets up the whole entire scheme and the way they play. You can't overlook that, though.
I'm not overlooking it. I'm saying the coaching played a role in it. But Chris, this is your whole thing with Aaron Rodgers. Your whole thing, if he's playing hard and he beat 3 bottom 5 defenses, so you could bring him back. Here's the thing: the players were still the ones putting the product out on the field, playing the game. You think Garrett Wilson's like, oh, I can't just show up and I can't play on Sundays because I have shitty quarterback play and I have a shitty coaching staff? No, he racked up over 1,000 yards each season playing with 11 different quarterbacks.
I get that.
You think Sauce Gardner was saying, oh my God, this team's winning 5 games. Why am I even going out here? Why am I playing? This coaching staff's terrible. Jeff Ulbricht's awful. Robert Saleh's awful. Why am I even doing this? I should be playing like crap, blah, 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 blah. None of these guys are saying this, though. That's not the thing. Because
I get that.
Good players are able to avoid bad coaching.
Listen, I get that, but if we had a good coaching staff, right, after the Minnesota game where where Aaron Rodgers suffered the worst hamstring injury possible, good coaching would have benched him, and then he wouldn't have played so bad, and it wouldn't have let you have such a horrible opinion on him and be so biased for some reason.
You're talking about Braylon Allen and evaluating players. We're not talking about Aaron Rodgers here.
I want to throw out a quick in, but Braylon Allen.
You know you love Rodgers.
We know you hate him too, so it goes.
No, I don't hate Rodgers. I'm just being honest. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. He's not good anymore. Tom Brady, at the end of his career, he was not good. Matt Ryan, future Hall of Famer, was not good at the end of his career. Andrew Luck had to retire early. They were all-time greats who, hate to break it to you, just lose their step. And I don't know why fans are afraid to admit that Rodgers just isn't what he used to be, and he hasn't shown anything. What has he shown to us New York Jet fans that, oh my God, we praise him. He's our Lord. He hasn't done anything for this franchise. Like, come clean. He's won you 5 games.
Doesn't done anything for this franchise. Took the biggest pay cut in NFL history. Gave us the best 2 summers of our lives. When it was third down,
how many games did he win?
I know what you're going to say.
How many games did he win?
There's so many external variables.
That's like saying Tyron Smith. That's like saying Tyron Smith did such great things for this franchise. He got us so excited for a whole offseason.
I know you're going to say it, but you have to let me finish.
April evening.
What I was saying is, what I was going to say is, when on third down this year, we actually had confidence in a quarterback to fit it through tight windows, to make a crazy throw. We've never had that before. Who did just think we are rushing a quarterback like that, a Hall of Fame quarterback out the window? We have no right to do that.
He was a Hall of Fame quarterback. He was a Hall of Fame
status. You don't just lose that.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
You can lose mobility.
Whoa. If Matt Ryan played like he did his last 2 years of his career for his entire career, would he be in the Hall of Fame?
No.
Okay, perfect. So you just answered your own question. Yes, at the end of your career, you lose your status. If you were great like Aaron Rodgers was the first 15 or so years of his career, and he's one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. Do not get me wrong on that whatsoever. One of the greatest quarterbacks to ever step on a football field and play this game. But yes, over time, you lose that recognition of being a top quarterback in the NFL. And Rodgers doesn't have that anymore. Just like we've seen with every single great quarterback except Tom Brady. And that is why he's the greatest of all time.
The thing
he was able to play top 10. He was able to play like a top 10 quarterback till the day he retired.
The thing is, he might have lost his mobility, which that's fair, and I think
Perfect. You can't
I
win
get
the
that's a
NFL,
huge
boom.
part. I get that's a huge part of the NFL these days. But
So,
he did
boom.
not. He didn't lose his arm talent. He can still make any throw. He can still fit in any window. He can still, he still has poison on third down. Stuff we haven't seen, man.
You know who
And
could do
when
that?
he
Will
wasn't
Howard.
playing hurt, he still demonstrated
You know
those
who
things
could do
great.
that? Will Howard.
What?
And it's going to cost you less than a quarter of the price. So, you know who could do all those things? Will Howard. And he's not going to be going on the Pat McAfee show every
combine boy.
He's 24 years old. He's not going to be going on the Pat McAfee show every week.
And he played with a pro-style offense as well.
Players have their own podcast. Why do you care about Rodgers going on the McAfee show?
What? Because it causes distractions.
It brings
calling out his
attention.
wide receiver after dropping a pass.
That was in a press conference. He called out his receiver in his press conference.
No, it was not. No, it was
The
not.
Mike Williams red line was in a press conference.
Let me go back.
Roll the clip, Connor.
Go back and rewatch it. We'll pull the tape for next show. Don't worry. I listen to his appearance on the Pat McAfee show every single week, unfortunately. So it's not only that, but it's also just he's not a good quarterback anymore, and we just have to admit it at this point.
But you even said yourself he gives us the best chance to make a wild card next year.
What?
You said it yourself. He gives us the best chance to make the wild card next year.
Correct. He does. But it's not worth the long-term impacts. So
the long-term impacts are money-wise, right? But money-wise, we've seen the Broncos be good with so much dead money. And plus, after next year, when Rodgers is done, we make let's say best case scenario, we make the wild card this year, and then we trade it for our quarterback anyway. So we have our quarterback either way.
Sorry?
So we would have kept Rodgers, right? Best case scenario, we make the wild card this year, and we trade it for our quarterback, say it's Drew Aller, and we have him anyway. So you more so guarantee yourself a wild card spot this year, which by the way means something. I feel like Jet fans think you either have a Super Bowl roster or you're tanking, which is dumb. There's a happy medium that teams could be at and be scrappy, and there's benefits to that, like getting your guys playoff experience and having, developing some faith in this regime.
This is what I say to you every single time, whether it's on air or off air when we're talking about Rodgers. You go down the same rabbit hole like it's a guarantee you're going to get into the playoffs.
I know.
Okay. Let me give you this. Let me ask you this. Who do you think gives the Giants a better chance of going to the playoffs this coming season? Kirk Cousins or Tyler Shuck?
Don't even know who the second one is, so I'm gonna say Kirk
Will Howard.
The better Kirk Cousins.
Not true. Not true at all. Oh, I mean, my bad. I thought you said Shuck there for a second. Sorry. That is correct. Yes. My bad. Does that mean the Giants should sign Kirk Cousins to a multi? Do you think they should? Does that mean the Giants should sign Kirk Cousins and him be the quarterback next season to a lucrative deal?
No. Well, why does it have to be a lucrative deal?
Because that's what Rodgers was going to get paid. It was going to be $63 million.
But the thing about getting Rodgers is he would have took another pay cut, and he would have learned a new scheme, and he would have did all these things. He would have went the whole nine yards.
I'm willing to be the quarterback of the New York Jets. I'm willing to learn Tanner Engstrand's scheme. It doesn't mean I'm going to fit. I could go onto One Jets Drive right now, put pads on, and say, I want to be a part of your offense.
The moral of the story is when Glenn and Muji were to sign this, he probably didn't fit. They probably did not want him to be the face of the franchise.
All right, we got to stop talking about Rodgers here, guys. No one wants to hear it anymore. Let's go over to where's the comment I wanted to pull up here? Momo had something, a solid comment. Oh, David D. Give me the first is, the moon is hollow and is filled with lizard people. I appreciate it, David. Appreciate the comment as always. Keep the questions flowing. We appreciate it as always. Calling to the show with the comment I'm about to throw in here. Vote in our poll for our potential next gen Jets game meetup. So I appreciate all your support. As always here on the program. You guys are the best. Where's the comment here? I wanted to pull up here. Momo says, I think Conklin is a serviceable tight end, good hands, and tough as nails. What am I missing, guys? Jack, I was all on board with retaining Tyler Conklin, especially looking at the contract he now got with the Chargers. 1 year, $3.5 million, I think is wild for what he's put on the field over the past few seasons.
I agree. Conklin was definitely, like Momo said, a serviceable tight end. Great at catching, very tough, used his body to his advantage. I definitely feel like he wasn't even a bad tight end, like some people were saying. Yes, he may not have a high amount of touchdowns, but yes, he had 4 touchdowns this season. What was it, 4 touchdowns, I believe?
Conklin?
Yeah.
3 or 4. I think it might have been 3.
I believe it was 4.
Yeah, it was 4.
Yeah, 4 touchdowns this season compared to 2023, 0. I feel like that's really where it all started. People saying they wanted to get rid of him. But yes, touchdowns a big thing. But you can have way more than touchdowns, right? I feel like he's a great asset to this offense. And I feel like, right, if he's used well, which I hope the Chargers do, I really like the guy as a player, that he's dominant, right? And he was when we fed the ball to him, he was dominant. Yes, maybe he may have had some mistakes, like everybody does. Maybe that fumble against that one game, I forget where that was. They ruled it incomplete, I think, however. But I just think he's tough as nails. Like Momo said again. But I don't understand why we just can't re-sign him if they paid him $3.5 million. I don't get why the Jets just couldn't do it. Yes, they probably want to go a different direction. Maybe Warren, maybe they're looking at, but Conklin is a great tight end in my opinion. And I would have loved that for the Jets to, retain him.
What do you feel about this, Chris? How do you, this is a massive hole now at tight end for the Jets with only Stone Smart, Jeremy Ruckert, and Zach Kuntz under roster at the tight end room entering the 2025 season.
I agree with Momo 100%. I'm skeptical about that, but it just makes me, it almost confirms that they're going to pick Warren. A gun to my head right now, if someone has a gun to my head, who are the Jets picking? It's Tyler Warren. So, so I think they have a plan. And I don't know why they didn't extend him. I would have, given him back at least for depth even if you're gonna draft Warren. But I think that's the plan, to draft Warren, and we'll see what they do with the rest of their needs.
Are you okay only drafting Warren? You still want to add another tight end in this room, whether it's even going after a Gerald Everett type guy in free agency, whether it's you draft 2 tight ends this year. How do you want to address that glaring need, Jack? Do you want to draft 2 guys? Are you comfortable just adding one more?
I don't want to draft 2 guys, but I maybe want to sign 1 guy, right? Maybe, like you said, a Gerald Everett possibly. I know Evan Ingram signed with the Broncos. I was really eyeing him to maybe be our next tight end, maybe even with drafting Tyler Warren. I wouldn't waste 2 of our draft picks, though. Maybe it's not wasting even. Again, we don't know how they're going to be, but I don't want to use 2 picks on tight ends, right? Obviously, maybe 1 with Warren. That's obvious. I think most Jet fans probably want Warren at this point in the draft, but I don't. Maybe a guy like Elijah Arroyo, maybe in the mid draft, maybe Colston Loveland. I don't really feel like the Jets should draft 2. If you were to draft 2, though, maybe Elijah Arroyo out of Miami would be a pretty good prospect for the Jets, maybe to be their tight end 2, maybe behind Warren. But that's if they draft 2 guys. My preference: draft a guy in Tyler Warren, sign a guy in Gerald Everett. That's fine with me.
Couple things there, Jack. You mentioned Gerald Everett. Are there any other free agents you like?
Not really, right? I feel like my main one was Evan Ingram. Like I said, I was really high on Evan Ingram, and a lot of people are saying trade for George Kittle. I don't see the Jets doing it. A lot of buzz has been going around saying trade for George Kittle. I don't see the Jets doing it. Like I said, I think I was fine with Ingram. Once Ingram got signed by the Broncos, I was really not really, and once we lost Conklin, I wasn't really looking forward to anybody else, maybe besides Gerald Everett. I would feel like Everett was probably my 3rd.
What do you like so much about Arroyo in the 2nd round? What are some of the traits that really jump off the board for you?
I just think, he really captured my eyes when I was watching the games this year. I feel like he's very athletic for a tight end, and he can catch the ball well. Maybe he's not really the blocking tight end that you need. I definitely feel like he's okay. He's pretty good at blocking, but I feel like he's not really a blocking tight end that you need. That's really why you get Warren, right? And I just feel like if the Jets were to draft a 3rd round tight end, Arroyo really captures my eyes. I just like his athleticism in general, right? I feel like he's great at catching. He's great at route running. I just like his elusiveness as well.
King Jamie the Matter, Chiefs fan of the building, says, I say trust your coaches. They got rid of Rodgers for a reason, and they still have a plan. I wouldn't want Rodgers. He's proven not to care. To him, it's free money, and he won't even go to practices or camps. Appreciate the comment, King Jamie. And I have full faith in Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji until they show me a reason not to, Chris.
I agree with that. I have faith. I'm saying I wanted them to, keep Rodgers, but I feel like they did the best thing possible, after that. They got Fields, which I really wanted to do. And I'm very excited about Justin Fields, as all you probably know. So, I love what they did outside of it. And one thing I will push back on, though, is the practice or camps. He missed one little mini camp at the end of the season. That didn't matter. He already attended all the mandatory ones. He just missed.
No, he didn't. He attended all the optional ones and didn't attend all the ones that every single player on the 53-man, every single player on the 90-man, roster had to be there for.
I don't think to him it's free money. I wouldn't go that far to say that. But again, the Rodgers era is over, whether any of us like it or not. And we have to have faith in this new regime. I like what they've done in free agency. I love the Fields signing. So although I do think Rodgers gave us the best chance to win, I'm still optimistic about Fields and think that he has upside that could take us to places that some of us obviously do not think that we're going to be.
Now, Chris, when you say best chance to win, you mean for one season, right? That's what I'm assuming that's what you're meaning.
Yes.
All right. So for me, I apologize if Connor, you were about to say something or not. But I just feel like I like your output. I like your outtake on Rodgers saying, and your Connor's too, saying he would be the best fit for us at least for one season. I get that. I would love nothing more than to be at least a wild card team, but you have to have Super Bowl aspirations at this point, and it doesn't have to be right away, right? But I feel like if you really want to build this roster up, maybe become a playoff team, have Super Bowl aspirations within the next 10 years, right? You got to start with longevity, and I feel like it was the right decision to not keep Rodgers, like you said, like it or not. Fields was the better option.
Chris?
I do like the Fields signing as in bringing someone who has a chance to be the face of this franchise. I think, Fields has a connection with Garrett, has the deadly option with him and Breece. He has the ability to throw over the middle. He has a strong arm, despite what some people might believe. So, and he's extremely athletic. The Jets haven't had an athletic quarterback who's a threat running in a long time. So I'm excited to see what Fields puts on display. Getting rid of Rodgers, it hurt in the moment. It was heartbreak because all the stuff, all the 2 seasons, all of 2023, the Bills game, it wasn't supposed to go like that. So a lot of it is emotion, but I do like the Fields signing. I think, and I'm optimistic about what's to come.
Jimmy Jets in the buildings did you not hear that he's asking the Steelers to hire Hackett and trade for Lizards? Not surprised. I mean, I don't think Hackett should even be an NFL coach at this point. Alan Lazard, I think he has no trade value. I don't even think some teams would take Alan Lazard on the veteran minimum. I'm going to kind of frame this to you, Jack. Would you rather get a 7th-round pick for Alan Lazard, or would you rather cut him and save the few $1 million?
I'd cut him and save the few million, right? That just adds to your cap space to get more guys that you really need, right? And I just feel like I'd rather get the money, in my opinion.
Chris?
I'd
rather cut him, but Jimmy Jets, I did not hear that.
I didn't either, but I'm not surprised.
And if he did, right, I would. And if the Steelers, if that's true, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't see how Tomlin would like that, because I feel like a Tomlin is a very straightforward guy. He'll tell you what you need to hear.
Exactly. I was about to say the Steelers are not about to let Rodgers, smack.
I don't think Tomlin.
Tomlin with Aaron Rodgers would be so funny, because he'll be like,
I know.
Dude, I don't care. You can make Mason Rudolph my starting quarterback. I'm still gonna start off the season 5-0 and finish 9-8 and get bounced in the first round like I do with every single quarterback. Like, Aaron Rodgers could go to the playoffs with the Steelers. It doesn't mean jack shit to me, because they make the playoffs with anyone. If they can make the playoffs with Duck Hodges and Kenny Pickett, anyone can make the playoffs with Aaron Rodgers.
But the thing is, some Steelers fans believe that this can be the move that sets them over the top, especially with DK. And by the way,
it's only for 1 year. That's what I don't get.
Yeah, but like 1 year, they're trying to do what the Jets failed to do, get a 1 year window at Rodgers. But what I was about to say is the Steelers are all about a no BS team, right? Tomlin tries to limit the BS in the locker room. Then they now have Aaron Rodgers, what's his name, DK Metcalf, and George Pickens in the same room. That's going to be a nightmare for them.
Yeah, but you're saying you want Rodgers back. That's what I mean. More so DK in the locker room, but you're saying you wanted them back. Like, that's the part I don't understand about all of this. Like, you're playing the devil's advocate of kind of my side why I didn't want him back, and then you're saying at first you want him back, but that now you're categorizing it as a problem in the locker room. Like, that's what I don't get.
Yeah, things I'm talking about is on the field play more so. And by the way, all the Jets players love them. So I don't get like why not showing to mini camps, the Pat McAfee show. I think people exaggerate that too much, man. Like,
you just said he would be a problem in the Steelers locker room. Why wouldn't he be a problem in the Jets locker room then?
I'm talking about the pair of guys they have with DK and Pickens. Like that those guys won't mesh.
Yeah, I'm talking about the pair of the social media guys the Jets have with Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner, and Garrett Wilson getting pissed off when Rodgers is force-feeding Devontae Adams the ball and playing buddy ball and not finding Garrett Wilson wide open across the middle of the field.
That's a negative I will say, and won't like that. At the start of the Devontae tenure, he did. Obviously trying to force him, which that's one of the things I would push back on Rodgers, saying one of the things you'd have to watch film and recognize that, I had to be better, but it doesn't matter anymore because he's not coming back. He's going to play somewhere else.
Momo says, don't want to Google it. Who's 66 on the Jets? If you're asking me about my jersey, I'm wearing. Oh, am I wearing 66? Yeah, this is Joe Tippmann.
That's Tippmann, yeah.
Yeah, Tippmann jersey that I'm rocking, and they appreciate it, Momo. Keep the questions coming. We'll get to those. Smash the like and hit subscribe. Super chats, gifted memberships, a great way to contribute to the show. Vote at the poll on the top of the chat for a potential next Gen Jets game meetup. Appreciate all your support here on the program. As
I need
always,
to get myself a Justin Fields jersey.
Jet Ups, his first person I'm extending is Garrett, though.
I agree.
This is interesting. Sauce is the player I feel most comfortable extending right now, but I think you need to get both of them done one way or another.
Yeah, I feel comfortable extending everyone from the 2022 class. I get that Jermaine came off an injury. I get that you don't like Breece's production, which is mostly due to coaching. But Jermaine, he was like running. I think a bit ago, he was like fully running. Is that true?
Rodgers was running 15 weeks after he tore his Achilles. Yeah, but
JJ still has a whole offseason. He still has so much time ahead of him.
So did Aaron Rodgers. He didn't recover off of it. Like that's what you have to keep in mind with these guys. I don't think you can hand a blank check to a player who really hasn't shown you anything. Yes, he had one nice season. I have a Jermaine Johnson jersey. I'm a huge Jermaine Johnson fan. That doesn't mean you hand him a blank check after he's coming off a gruesome knee injury.
I didn't say blank check. I said I feel comfortable paying them.
So that's pretty much handing him a blank check to make him one of the highest paid defensive ends when you look at the market overall and the money he would command for an extension right now. So that's pretty much what you're saying there, because the market for a defensive end right now is only skyrocketing up the board.
I think JJ would take a team-friendly deal.
I don't think anyone the new regime has to evaluate him after the season comes to a close. I don't think you pay one person who's coming off an Achilles injury. Why would you do that?
Well, because the Achilles injury happened early 2024. That's what, early 2024.
Rodgers happened early 2023. He never.
So you're saying Rodgers wasn't fully recovered from his injury at the start of this year?
He was.
Yeah. So
coming back if the Jets were to make the playoffs. The whole thing with Jermaine Johnson, he's a great player. I want to see one more season. What did he show you? 9 sacks in 2023? Like, and all of a sudden you want to pay him now?
I mean, he's a good pass rusher. He can get. He gets your production. He's only going
9 sacks coming off an Achilles injury. Like that's what I don't get. I think you have to, Chris. I think you're just too eager with these guys and trying to keep them in house. And like you have a 5th-year option on Jermaine too that you could also pick up. You don't need to pay him right away to a long-term extension.
So what decides if players get 5th-year options or not?
If they're a first-round pick or not. Got
it. So yeah, then just take. Accept Jermaine's 5th-year option, and then that gives you more time to even evaluate how he's going to be off the Achilles. So yeah, now that that's an option, that's great.
See, our guy Lino TV, a Buffalo Bills fan. Appreciate you, Lino. Comes in with a $10 super chat. He gets a few raffle entries. Lino, thank you so much for all your support here on the show. This is my guy Connor. Congrats on the show, fam. Just one thing. Why do you Jet fans think Justin Fields is going to be a franchise for y'all when he hasn't shown that at any other ball clubs? I don't get it. # Bills Mafia. Lino, appreciate the $10 super chat. That'll get you a few raffle entries into our membership raffle. Guys, super chats, memberships, a great way to help us grow the show. So please, if you can, give some memberships. Send in some super chats. Appreciate it as always. Chris, I don't think that's what any Jet fan is saying. I think people like this signing because it was a guy like Justin Fields has a higher ceiling compared to the other names being tossed around, like a Carson Wentz or a Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, and I no one's saying it's a surefire thing. I'm saying there's an all right chance of it happening, and the reason I think that is because, well, if you start his career in Chicago, they ignored offensive line basically. That's from the looks of it. He was getting crushed. He was running for his life, and in Chicago they didn't protect him, and obviously, like especially in your rookie stages when you need the most protection, you need the most time to learn the NFL pace and see what's happening. So the Bears definitely failed them in that department. Then you head over to the Steelers. What's his name? Fields was playing solid ball. He got benched because they wanted to test and see if Russell was a better scheme fit, which I mean I get it, but in Pittsburgh, the main complaint with him is that he didn't throw it down the field to open receivers, and I think the Steelers had him on a leash. I think they were telling him to play too conservative, and they always take the check down, and they didn't want him throwing deep. The Jets need to play to his skills more. They need to unleash him, and he's going to be more comfortable here. He has Garrett Wilson, who he's played with in college. He has a bunch of Ohio State guys. So I'm optimistic, and I'm willing to see what Fields brings to the table, which is a lot.
Jack, what are your thoughts on this super chat here from our guy Lino?
Again, like Chris said, I don't really feel like a lot of people are expecting him to be a franchise quarterback. A lot of people are actually expecting him to be a bridge quarterback as of right now. However, it would be nice to see him become our franchise quarterback, no doubt about that. But I feel like not a lot of Jets fans are saying that. And the reason why a lot of Jets fans are optimistic about Fields is because we haven't seen his full potential yet, right? Look at Chicago. Like Chris said, he had no offensive line running for his life. And I feel like that's where we really saw that in college, is where we saw his true gift. His true gift is running the football, right? And I feel like, if you utilize that well, put him in a running gun style offense, he'll light things up. He will light things up. I'm telling you, he had the best rushing season for any quarterback in NFL history, 1,100 rushing yards a couple seasons ago with the Chicago Bears. And he had the best rushing season any quarterback has ever had in NFL history. If you use that correctly, he will do good things. And heck, in Pittsburgh, he wasn't even running a run style offense, and he still started off 4-2 with them. He still started off 4-2 with the Pittsburgh Steelers that year. He wasn't even really running what he should have been running, right? I feel like that's why they benched him.
But they're not going to tailor the offense to
No. Of course. I'm just saying, right? If you sign Justin Fields, you have to use him for what he's worth, right? And I feel like he's worth running the football. And I feel like if you mold the offense around that, I'm not saying it's going to be perfect. I'm just saying it's better than taking a chance on, playing a pass first offense and having him throw, not a lot of touchdowns and not a lot of interceptions a year.
Run first next year.
For sure. Lino, I appreciate the super chat as always, guys. Super chats and memberships, a great way to help us grow on the channel. So if you could super chat, please do so. If you can give memberships, please do so. That's the paid way to help us grow. The free way, just as much, guys. Smash the like, hit subscribe. We're thinking about doing a Next Gen Jets game meetup. So vote at the top of the poll as we gauge some interest from all you listeners. Appreciate all your support. As always, I'm going to answer this quick question here from Momo before we go any further. It says, Connor, what are the set times of your podcast? So, Momo, normally it's every night at 8 p.m., but tomorrow it'll be 8:30 with Nick Faria, 8 p.m. on Tuesday with Gunny from New York Jet Situation Report, Wednesday night at 8 p.m. with Matt O'Leary. Thursday night, it will probably be my interview with ESPN's NFL draft analyst, Matt Miller. Friday night, I'm on at 8 p.m. before Jack and Josh take over here on the show at 9:30. Saturday nights, it's Chris and I at 9:30, and then Sunday nights, obviously here at 7 p.m. EST, chopping it up Next Gen Jets. So I appreciate all your support, Momo, as always. King Jamie says, keep in mind, Glenn wants to do well in his first season, but really make a run and get better every year. He seems to be hitting that mark in free agency, in my opinion. That goes back to the whole mantra of building sustained success, Jack, and that's why I didn't want Aaron Rodgers back.
Right, I agree with you, right? And I feel like sustained success also comes with not signing big-time guys that'll bring you a lot of pressure and attention, right? I feel like maybe these guys aren't the best that he signed, and I'm a little disappointed with the wide receiver room. However, I do feel like I was a little glad that he didn't go after some big-time guys and T. Higgins before he re-signed with the Bengals, or another guy maybe that could have caused you a little bit of, I want money, or I'm out, right? I feel like, and again, it's not the situation with everybody, but I feel like I'm glad he maybe kept it a little bit lower this season instead of, getting all the pressure up that's saying, oh, Jets got this guy, Jets got so-and-so, they're going to be so good this year, instead of taking it slow, taking his time. Again, he can't take it too slow, or else, he'll start getting on the hot seat by year 3. But I'm just saying, the overall message, what I'm saying is I'm glad, kept it a little bit calmer this season.
Chris?
I love what you're doing in free agency, and obviously the wide receiver room is still a big issue, and I don't think they did enough to address that. But I'd also rather do what they did than sign Stephon Diggs. I don't want any big names. Never worked for us, and this class was never stacked anyways. People who wanted to make all these huge signings, they weren't really there. And people, the big name people would point to is Javon Holland, right? And maybe he's not an Aaron Glenn player. Maybe an Andre Cisco is the route they wanted to take, because I believe that Glenn and Muji have a vision of what they want this team to look like. I've said it 100 million times, and they're signing players that fit that vision. So, and that's smart. Like, people don't understand how a team should be built because they're so used to watching this poverty franchise try to build a team by signing, Tyron Smith, Hassan Reddick, and make all the big moves. And that's really not how it should be done. You get guys who are going to fight for you, like Glenn and Bougie are doing, and you just build it up year by year. So I'm excited to see what this team's going to do, and I have optimism.
Lino comes back in with another $5 super chat. Appreciate it. As always, Lino, that's a few more raffle entries for you guys. Like I said, super chats, memberships, if you can, gift those and submit your super chats. It's a really, really great way to help us grow here on the program. And he comes in, he says, I get what y'all say, but does that stop y'all from drafting a quarterback early? Jay Dart, wink, wink. From the reports we're hearing, it doesn't. I don't want them to do so, Jack.
I agree, right? I don't think Dart, again, we haven't seen anything out of Dart, but I feel like Dart's not what you can get in the first round at pick 7, right? Or not even maybe in the second round. Like, I would maybe if you're going after a quarterback in this draft, go after a guy like Kyle McCord in the third. I think he's a good fit, not just because obviously a lot of people are saying just because he's a Jets fan. I really like his skill set. Him, maybe a guy like Will Howard in the fourth or the third, right? I really like them a lot as passers, especially because Will Howard played in a pro style offense at Ohio State. I definitely feel like he can be a good maybe QB2 behind Justin Fields or Tyrod Taylor, especially for next season, right? If we can utilize them maybe as backups or if they can become our starters eventually. I don't really see it. I think they're just going to keep on with Justin Fields. Maybe they'll draft a quarterback in the third. If they were, however, I wouldn't get Dart. I would get McCord or Howard in the middle of the draft.
Chris, I know where you stand on quarterbacks, but for those who don't know, can you please reiterate your stance?
Why take a quarterback this year, man? Why take a chance on a quarterback that you don't like and rush it for no reason? If you're going to take a chance on someone, fine. I guess take Milrow, but there's no reason. We have Justin Fields. We have Tyrod Taylor. That's the QB room. There's no need to add when you're unsure on any of these bum prospects.
For those who are unaware, Chris is a Cam Ward truther, so
I couldn't hate Cam Ward.
I am too. Not gonna lie.
What do you like about Cam though? That's my question.
I like his pocket presence. I really like his pocket presence. Like
that's worth.
No. Listen. You didn't let me finish, right? I like his pocket presence. I like his accuracy. I really feel like he's very calm in the pocket when he's able to escape. I feel like he is able to escape and find his guy downfield when he really needs to. And I feel like that's what the Jets really need. Rodgers wasn't able to escape out of the pocket one bit, right? Yes, he had a little bit of pocket presence, but when going under pressure, folded like a lawn chair. Absolutely folded like a lawn chair. And I feel like Cam Ward has great pocket presence that you can do that with, right? And I feel like, maybe he's not the perfect quarterback. This QB class is not really the best quarterback class I'm seeing. But if I had to pick, I think Cam Ward is the definitive QB1 in this draft class. And I just like the way he plays. I'm not saying the Jets, obviously, I do not want Ward at this point, especially because we have Fields. I don't see the need in trading up. I don't even want Ward anymore. Maybe if he was pre-signing Justin Fields, sure. Go for it. I don't care. Take a shot at Ward, right? But just because it may be a popular move that fans were thinking doesn't mean it's a smart move, right? Because we haven't seen him play on an NFL field. So, but in my mind, based off what I saw in college, I like the way he plays.
So you're basically saying a more athletic version of Kyle McCord, someone you can get on day 3?
Possibly, yes. The more athletic, the better.
So why give up the keys to your friend?
Why wouldn't you just take Kyle McCord on day 4 and turn him into a more athletic
That's
style?
if we didn't get Fields, right? If we didn't get Fields, I'd rather just get the best quarterback in this draft.
No, I'm just talking from an overall ranking a quarterback in this year's draft.
Because I feel like Ward is special, right? I just feel like I just like his playmaking better.
So if he's special, why don't you want the Jets to draft him?
Because we already have Fields. Right, I'm just saying, I'm talking about if they weren't have Fields yet. Sure, I just said I was open to drafting him and trading.
Yeah, but if someone's quote special, you draft him no matter who you have on the roster. What has Justin Fields shown you right away that makes him this clear-cut top quarterback in the league?
I didn't choose to sign him. Right, I didn't choose to sign him. So, but however the Jets did, that's their decision to make. Right, of course, I'm saying.
Why is that immediately cross-drafting a quarterback at pick number 7 or trading up for one off the list when he's signed?
Because we don't really need one now, right? If we feel like if we could utilize Fields to what he's worth, I'm fine with that. Again, Fields has upside. If we could use Fields' upside and he becomes good, I like that. And I'm not denying drafting a quarterback. I just said I would be open to drafting a guy like McCord or Howard in the 3rd or 4th round. I'm open to it. I'm not denying it whatsoever. I'm just saying I don't see the need in the Jets drafting a quarterback in the 1st round now, not even the 2nd. I feel like you should focus on a weapon such as Tyler Warren, who's the 3-in-1 package, which would utilize your offense to the best of his ability, or Ted McMillan to fill in that wide receiver 2 hole. That's just what I'm saying.
Chris?
Before the Jets got Fields, right? I'll be sitting on my couch watching all these Jets shows, and they would be talking about Justin Fields, and I'd be going back and forth with people in all the chats with them, and I'll just be young at the screen. Cam Ward is like, I don't even get what people seeing him. I watched the tape, and he just jumped out to me as a guy who's just like, yeah, he's serviceable, he's accurate, he has good arm, he has good velocity, but I haven't seen enough with him pushing the ball, throwing it deep. Yes, he's athletic, but why give up the keys of your franchise to this guy when you can get Justin Fields this year, who, by the way, has a chance to be the face of your franchise? And if he sucks next year, just take Drew Aller, who's a surefire, who's he's going to be a better quarterback than Cam Ward, because Cam Ward is not going to be good. Mark my words.
Drew Aller is very, very overrated. I will have to say that he is not NFL ready. I don't think Nico's far from NFL ready. Drew Aller is far more NFL ready than Nico. than Nico is. I don't see any quarterback in next year's class other than Garrett Nussmeier.
Yeah.
I love that too.
And I say this guy's
Is Arch
ready
Manning
for
next year 27? Is he 27 or
He could be
26?
next
Depends
year.
how he plays.
See, all these guys. So Nico, also, what's his name? Art could be next year if they have stellar seasons, and then they want to risk having another a down year after that. But yeah, man, I don't like this quarterback class at all. Just if you want to get your franchise quarterback and it's not Fields, just wait till next year in a much better quarterback class. And I know none of us really know about these quarterbacks. But like, I feel like Ward is so overrated. I watch him. What are these people seeing? I watch him and I'm like, yeah, he has a couple good crazy throws, but you don't pick people off a couple crazy throws. That's how you get Zach Wilson.
What are you just a Cam Ward?
A member of the network, Josh Wolver, Josh's sports report, is watching in the show. Says Drew Aller. Come on, Chris.
Yeah, really the only thing with Drew Aller did he does my cousin's homework. That's really the only thing I really liked about him.
but listen, Drew Aller with him, I love Drew Aller. His arm talent is great. The only thing I would say about Drew Aller is his footwork on deep throws needs to improve. But again, that's why he stayed in college. He knows he has issues. But what's wrong with Drew Aller? I think Drew Aller is a crazy good arm talent guy. You know, his throwing motion is good. He just needs to fix his footwork on deep passes, and he's really good. But my guys quarterback wise, looking in the future. Let's hope all these guys come out next year, by the way. But Drew Aller, Nussmeier, and Nico Amavella. Nico being my favorite, but he's probably not going to come out. People don't like to say he's not NFL ready. But if these quarterbacks have a stellar season, why wouldn't they come out?
Appreciate you all tuning in. Smash the like, hit subscribe, give some membership, submit your super chats. Great way to help us grow. Keep the questions coming. We'll get to those. You can call into the show with the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Let's go over to the phone lines. Our guy June, the GM, is up first here on the show. June, how you doing?
Let's go, June.
Hey, man, I'm just listening to you guys. You guys are fired up tonight, man. A lot of fire in here tonight, man. I'm like, wow. Hey, listen, that's good, right? You don't always want to agree with one another. You all got strong opinions and very good opinions. Chris, I am disappointed. You, my boy, that you don't like my man Cam out there in Miami. That's my boy. I like Cam now.
So Drew, what do you see that's so good in Cam Ward?
Well, I think there's one innate skill set that he has that can be taught. That's arm strength. He can put that ball in places that a lot of other quarterbacks can't. And when you can do that, that can always get you far in the league. It's not to say he doesn't have things to improve on, but if you've seen some of his games, some of his highlights, running to your right, throwing across your body on a rope for 40 yards.
Exactly.
That type of stuff can be taught. He has a elite arm, and he's still, you got to think about it. He's improved everywhere he's gone. He's still young, right? And once again, especially quarterbacks, is where you go. It's who drafts you, right? Because you can be the best quarterback in college, and if you get drafted by a team that does not know how to develop a quarterback, like the Jets, you might run into some trouble. That's why you think that Jaden Daniels had the year he had in Washington, right? It wasn't it wasn't the head coach, right? Who's really a defensive coordinator. It was Cliff. Cliffy, right?
So much hate for saying would have been a perfect head coach option for the Jets, who,
they didn't even give him a shot.
Yep.
But word is kind of. I heard that he didn't even really want to interview with us. That was the word that he was like.
I'm just saying, none of the offensive minds did, because why would that? That's the whole thing. They were either going to have a 41-year-old quarterback who's done, or they were going to have to find a bridge option, someone to work with. If I'm Cliff Kingsbury, I would rather work with Jaden Daniels as an offensive play caller and have full autonomy over the offense than come here and try to make something out of Justin Fields. If I am Liam Cohen, I would rather work with Trevor Lawrence and work with a former number 1 overall pick who just signed a bigger contract than try to materialize something out of someone that's pretty much already broken. Chris,
I like Ben Johnson.
Yes. So one thing I was going to say about that is I'd rather have a disciplinarian, not head coach. Someone who's going to install the culture, bring discipline to this locker room, hold guys accountable, than just pick offensive or defensive guys. Like offensive or defensive guy never mattered to me in this hiring cycle. all that mattered to me was that someone who's gonna be a disciplinarian and instill this culture and maximize the talent on this team. So I have faith Aaron Glenn will do that. So I like the Glenn signing, but some people are bringing up Josh McCown. Josh McCown was a passing game coordinator. People talk about experience. That's crazy to me. Just because he has a chance to be an offensive guy, the bust rate on a guy like McCown is so much higher than a guy like Glenn, who's gonna do great things with this team.
Well, let me give you a little bit of insight about this. And I heard about this probably around 2 months ago. I read an article on it. So their offensive coordinator Tanner, what he was really known for, aside from doing the play, helping with the play calling, passing game, and things like that, his strength was working with tight ends. That was his strength. That was one of the things he loved the most. All the tight ends. He used to hang out with the tight ends and work with the tight ends extensively out there in Detroit. Why is that important? Because we keep on hearing the same name being brought up for our number 7 draft pick. The Jets are enamored with Tyler Warren. I'm hearing that they want to set up multiple meetings with him. I'm hearing they head over heels over him. But once again, it's a lot of smoke screens though too, because don't be surprised if they go Membu, right? Because building an offensive line like the Detroit Lions ain't a bad thing either, because that's scary to think about having a young, physical offensive line like that as well. So we don't know. It's smokescreen season. You don't know what the Jets are going to do. Nobody knows. But I know about the quarterback position. It's very key that any quarterback lands in the right situation, because I'm going to tell you now, Bo Nix would have not been a good player. He would have landed with the Jets, Cleveland, or somebody like that. Bo Nix was good because he has who? Sean the Man Payton. From what bloodline? The Bill Parcells bloodline. The same bloodline that our coach now, Aaron Glenn, comes from. So let's pray deeply that Aaron Glenn can give us just a little bit of what Parcells gave us, and that might make us competitive.
Ladies and gentlemen, June the GM checking in here on the show. June, we appreciate the call. As always, we appreciate all your support.
Good luck tonight, June.
Yeah, great call by June as always. So appreciate it as always. Appreciate all your support. Like I said, smash the like, hit subscribe, keep all the questions coming. We'll get to those. Click the pinned comment to call into the show. Not pinned actually. The poll is pinned for our potential Jet game meetup. So vote in that poll if you haven't already. We appreciate all your support. As always, super chats, memberships, pay way to support the show that help us grow just as much. Let's keep it going with your calls. Our guy DTN, a Patriots fan, is up next here on the show. DTN, how you doing?
Doing good, bro. Doing good, guys. How are you guys doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well.
So I'm just gonna take off my Patriots hat. I'm just gonna ask from like a Jets point of view, like, if you guys are going to extend Garrett Wilson, how much would you like give him per year? Since I know like he's your wide receiver 1, and yeah, he has done great things for you guys.
Jack?
Whether it be make him one of the most highest receivers paid in the NFL, I'd probably give him maybe around $27 to $30 million per year. Based off what he's shown us, I think he has the skill set for it, the athleticism for it. We've seen it over the past few seasons. He's proved to everyone that he's a definitive wide receiver 1, putting up 3 1,000-yard seasons in a row. I feel like that's kind of rare to come by in a receiver, especially a young receiver nowadays. And I feel like you have to give Wilson that bag, especially if he's shown you the past 3 seasons with 11 different quarterbacks that have not been the best quarterbacks, right? For him to put up those numbers every season is phenomenal to me. And for me, you have to give him that bag.
Interesting. And also, I know that you guys want to assign Elijah Vera Tucker since he's like one of your best alignment, but I just don't know if he's like on a 5th-year option right now, or is he like currently a free agent?
He's on the final year of his deal, so he doesn't have an option. The option has been picked up already. So next offseason, the Jets are going to have to make a decision with AVT whether he's going to come back or not.
Yeah. Also, I did make a comment earlier saying that Gonzalez is. I prefer Gonzalez over Sauce Gardner, and I respect your guys' opinion considering the fact that Sauce Gardner was defensive rookie of the year, and I can ultimately respect that, and the fact that he's 2-time first team All-Pro, excuse me. But I just like Christian Gonzalez, not just because I'm a Patriots fan. I just like Gonzalez's technique in Oregon, but I just felt something different about our cornerback room, and I know you guys say otherwise about like Sauce Gardner being like a top 5 cornerback in like the league right now. It's just my thoughts, and I know Gonzalez. If he could have been defensive rookie of the year in 2023, if it wasn't for that shoulder injury against the Cowboys.
Totally.
But it is what
DTM,
it
we
is.
appreciate the call as always. You got any final thoughts?
Oh, I just gotta say, like, I like this show, even though I'm a young blood myself. I'm not like around your guys' age, like 13 or 14, because I'm like 20 years old. But I know that when I was around your age, I at least see the success with the Patriots. I know that by the time you're like about my age, like 20, I could see like the Jets making some progress here and there. But
I hope.
That's the dream. DTM.
I know
Hey,
I know that I don't like the Jets just because of the rivalry, but then again, I respect the fan base, all that.
for sure, DTM, we appreciate it as always. And hey, when we do the next gen Jets meetup, if it is a Patriots game, will you be coming out to Jet Life Stadium?
I don't. Maybe if the Patriots host a game, but not like at MetLife Stadium. I'm sorry.
You scared of the fan base, DTM?
Yeah, I just like my own fan base, and as a Boston native, I have to support my Patriots regardless of like the situation.
I understand. DTM, we appreciate you checking in here on the show. Great call.
Good
As
call.
always, if anyone else wants to call into the show, you can call in with the comment in the chat, smash the like, hit subscribe, keep the questions coming. We'll get to those. Memberships, super chats, great way to contribute to the show. Momo Adamo wants in on our membership raffle. He gets himself a couple entries, comes in with a $5 super chat. Momo, thank you so much for all your support. As always, like I said, keep the questions coming. Comment in the chat if you'd like to call on the show. A few more calls here before we go over to the rest of your questions. Barney Miller is next up here on the show. Barney, appreciate you calling in, and you are on NY Flight Jet. You are on Next Gen Jets. Excuse me. Used to say NY Flight Jets.
What's up, young bloods? How you guys doing?
Doing
Hey,
well.
Good. How are you?
I want to start by saying no diss to the Jakes and the Richies and the Nick Shines of the world, but you guys have merch and contests and stuff too. But I like when you're on Connor with your friends or even by yourself, because it's mostly about the football. So I'm a much more casual fan than you guys. I just wanted to talk about the tight ends for a minute. I know everyone's like, oh, is it going to be Warren or who's the I can't say his name, the lineman,
Armand Membu.
Membo. But I mean, I love Conklin, but isn't the problem with our tight ends, Conklin, Ruckert, Eboa, when he got on, like they couldn't block, isn't that? And like, won't getting Warren, who's obviously, he's not quite, who's the guy from last year on the Raiders, he's not quite that kind of pass catcher, but isn't the whole thing about him is that he's just a kick-ass football player, and like, won't that help Breece and our running backs get open? And I feel like the whole philosophy is going to be so different. We're going to run more on offense, and AG is doing. I think he's kind of doing the thing that Detroit did with Goff. Like a low. I know Goff was in the Super Bowl, but it was a low expectation thing. So I like what they're doing on both sides of the ball. But anyway, yeah. What do you guys think about the tight end thing? I think having a good tight end who's a weapon and a good blocker, I would pick that over the right guard. I feel we'll get a right guard somewhere, but maybe I'm dreaming.
I agree. I think the value there, Barney, is something I've been talking about overall. The tackle class and tight end class, to be fair, is very, very deep. I just think the value of getting a Swiss Army knife type guy in Tyler Warren is more valuable than trying to draft an Armand Membu, who, let's keep in mind, there's not even a guarantee he's going to be a right tackle at the next level. There's talks of him alongside Kelvin Banks, alongside Will Campbell, of having to slide into guard. So it's not even a sure thing there. I like the tackles in the later rounds. Hollins Pierce from Rutgers, Andrew Belton.
That's what we can get. There's good tackles deeper in the draft, right?
For sure.
But you're still for Tet over Warren, right?
Yes, Tet's my number one option.
And why is that again? I know you've said it a few times.
I just think the tight end class, first off, is very, very deep. So I think you can get Warren's the best tight end in my eyes, but I think you could draft two tight ends who fit the mold of being a blocker like Warren, and that could be a fifth-round guy like Jackson Hawes from Georgia Tech, is someone who gives you no value as a pass catcher, but an incredible blocker for you. And then you can even get the pass-catching guy who a smaller 6'3", 227-pounder in Harold Fannin Jr., who you could get in the third, fourth round out of Bowling Green. So you can kind of repair that with those two guys. Meanwhile, I just think this Jets team, one of the main reasons Garrett Wilson hasn't been able to get into the next level of putting up 1,500 receiving yards a season is because he's had no decoy, no proper no guy who could really play opposite of him. And they thought Jets thought that was going to be.
You think Tech could be that guy?
Ted is that guy because
Yeah.
Garrett is the smaller 6 foot, 189-pound speedster who's going to beat you with his route running ability. And then you have Ted, who's 6'5", 212 pounds, who is going to beat you on the. He's not going to beat you with the speed, but he's going to beat you getting those contested catches. Made 19 of his 31 contested catch opportunities last season for Arizona State. He's the big body who could go up there and catch jump balls. So this wide receiver room that's really, really thin right now for the Jets, they could really beef it up with a big-bodied guy like Ted McMillan.
He'll be what we wanted Mike Williams to be, but hopefully he knows where the red line is. I wanted to say one last thing about Garrett. Here's another reason I'm excited about Garrett and Fields. Yeah, they played together, yada, yada. It's a different level. It's, 4 or 5 years ago. But I'll say this, and I think this is all Garrett wants, because if you think about it, he had a good year with Zach the year Rodgers was injured. Why? Because when Zach was in trouble, because he couldn't read the defense, he was like, oh, there's Garrett, I'm going to throw it to him. Rodgers started doing that, but you could tell there was some friction there. So I think, if nothing else, Fields and him will have that thing. It's you saw him on the sidelines. He was like, when I'm one-on-one, throw me the fade. That's what he's been saying for 4 years. And, I think if he finally gets a guy who's at least better than Zach Wilson who can do that, I think he's going to have an amazing year, bag or no bag. But
100%.
Anyway, keep up the good work, guys.
Appreciate it, Barney. Great
Appreciate
call as always. Appreciate all your support here on the show. Barney, if you guys want to call into the show, do so with the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Keep the questions coming. Smash the like. Hit subscribe. We'll go back to the comments, and we'll start with Momo. His thoughts on Cisco, guys. Another guy, going to be 25 years old, grew up a Jet fan, Long Island native. This is a signing that doesn't move the needle for me, but the Jets are clearly gambling on upside, Chris.
I love this signing. I think, I'm comfortable with him starting at safety. I think, Cisco fits the mold of a Glenn player. He's young. They obviously turned on the tape and love his attitude. Met with him, love the way he spoke to them. So, I'm confident in the players are signing. And, Cisco is a player who's actually solid. He's going to get you some production this year. So I'm excited to see what he's able to do.
Jack?
I like the signing, right? He's a ball hawk. I really feel like if coached well, and I definitely feel like he could bring out his full potential. I really like the way he played in Jacksonville. He was such a ball hawk last season. And yes, he may not be the perfect safety signing, maybe like Javon Holland. But I like how they kept it, under that pressure. I like the direction they went with signing Cisco, especially because we need depth in that safety room. You can't just have Tony Adams being your only good safety, right? You need at least 2 of them. And I feel like Andre Cisco is a very coachable, very easy to coach guy. And I just feel like I'm excited to see what the Jets do with him.
Do you want him to be the safety number 1 for this team?
Probably not. I mean, I like the things that Tony Adams has done over the last couple seasons, but if it works out, maybe put give Cisco, some reps. If he ends up being a good safety for the Jets, maybe move him up to safety 1. As of right now, though, I just like the depth that the Jets are adding to it. I like the signing overall. I think he has some skill to him, but as of right now, I'd say Tony Adams would still be my starting safety.
Well, here's the thing: the Jets need 2 starting safeties. And
you're talking about free, right? Free
what?
safety.
I'm talking about a free and a strong safety. The Jets
Right.
don't really have a true strong safety right now.
Right.
Why do you think the Jets would pay someone $10 million on a 1-year contract if he wasn't going to come in and start?
That's true. That's a good point. I don't know. I just feel like if you're talking about skill set here, I think Adams has proved a little bit more over the course of a couple seasons. He may not be the best safety in the league, but I definitely feel like Adams. I feel like has shown a little bit more in the last couple of seasons. If that's what you're asking me.
J-Max, Jets need a right tackle, safety, defensive end, wide receivers, quarterback, DE, DT, bigger linebackers, tight end, a lot of needs. That's why this team isn't going to the playoffs this season.
That list is overwhelmingly look at it, but let's just go through the list here. Right tackle, okay, you have the rest of your line solidified. You can get right tackle later in this year's draft. Safety, we have Andre Cisco. Defensive end.
Let me stop you there. Andre Cisco's not shown he was a starting safety in this league. He was a liability with the Jaguars last season. On the flip side, Tony Adams hasn't shown he's even an average starting safety in this league. Safety's a big need for the Jets, Chris. They need to add 2 more guys.
So where do you see them adding those 2 guys?
The draft.
So we have too much need to spend them on safety. I think out of ranking the needs, wide receiver is 1, tight end is 2, and then after that, I'd say D tackle is 3. And yeah, so those are the main ones. So then we'll go back to
So
reading.
cool. You have 9 draft picks, I think, this year is what the nice 8 or 9 draft picks the Jets have this year. You delegate 1 for a defensive tackle, 1 or 2 for a defensive tackle. You delegate 2 for a safety. That's 3. You delegate 2 for a tight end. That's 5.
Why two?
What for a tight end?
Yeah. So you don't anticipate Stone start making the roster?
No, like I didn't. You can have these guys on your roster. Doesn't mean they need to be your tight end too. So Stone Smart and Jeremy Ruckert, Chris, haven't combined for 650 career yards. Like they aren't really rosterable.
I'm assuming we're taking Warren. Like all signs point to us taking Warren at 7. I would be shocked if they went another direction.
Jack.
Yeah, I agree. You can draft 2 tight ends in this draft and still, have a guy like Stone Smart. Yes, we signed him to a 1-year deal. Doesn't mean he's, tight end 2, tight end 1 worthy, which I don't believe at all he's going to be. And if you draft a guy like Tyler Warren, maybe get another guy in the draft that just adds depth to this tight end room. I feel like that's what the Jets need, first of all. Second of all, I feel like, the more younger guys you have in there, the better, right? I feel like they're able to build more. I feel like they're able to be more athletic, especially if a guy like, Tyler Warren, powerhouse. If you coach him well, right, he'll do great things.
So before we make any crazy low record predictions or crazy high, let's just see what they do in the draft and see how they address these holes. Because after the draft, I'm confident that the list won't be this long after.
Paul, Justin Fields is okay, but is he a difference maker? I doubt it. Iron Mike Tomlin had him as a backup to an old Rascal Wilson.
Well,
I know a lot of people are going to say he got benched for Russell Wilson, but looking back at it, I think Mike Tomlin would probably regret that decision.
100%. And what was I going to say here? So the reason Fields got benched is because they wanted to see what Russell Wilson would do in the scheme, and I strongly believe that if it wasn't so late in the season when they started losing games after that period where they started winning, after when they started getting cold, I feel like if it wasn't so late in the season, Mike Tomlin should have and would have put him back in. So Mike Tomlin, people say some crazy things about him sometimes. I would kill for the Jets to be what the Steelers are and make the playoffs every year at this point. Mike Tomlin. No, I feel like for different teams, it's a different scenario.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Just finish your answer to this question, then we'll go at it.
Yes. So, I think Fields, it could be a difference maker depending on how we use him and how he progresses. So that's the answer.
Now I want to get into what you said there, kind of about being the Steelers every single year.
All right, so I didn't finish my thought there. So it's it depends on what team you are. Obviously, for the Jets, right now, if Mike Tomlin was available, on it in a heartbeat. I'd be on it in a heartbeat to change the way this organization is internally and externally perceived. Internally, we are losers. We are the losers of the NFL. We need a guy who can change that. So if Mike Tomlin becomes available and he wants to make the playoffs every year, we haven't made the playoffs once in 15 years. So if he wants to make the playoffs every year, that's a problem I'm willing to have. Now for the Steelers, though, if they sign Aaron Rodgers and they don't, and they get first rounded, I think Mike Tomlin, the Steelers should fire Mike Tomlin. But for 2 different teams, it's 2 different scenarios. So I know you're going to say I'm contradicting myself, but for the Jets are a very different franchise than the Steelers.
There's no difference between the teams, Chris. Here's the problem. This was your argument with Rodgers, too. You can't compare everything to what the Jets have had because the bar is set insanely low. It's like trying to compare
the bar in our franchise is also insanely low, though. So we need to get out of hell.
What?
The bar is also insanely low, like what we are.
So you're saying you just want to go 9-8 every year, get in the playoffs, and get killed in the first round? Like that's a dream to you, rather going for someone who maybe you don't get in the playoffs the first few years, but the roster is being built the right way, coaching staff's thriving, the offense is scoring points, cough, cough, something the Steelers haven't done in over 20 years. You wouldn't rather have that and just give it a couple years and let this regime do that than go after someone like Mike Tomlin, who, yes, he can come in, he could bring all of his minions with him from Pittsburgh, and they're just going to go 9-8 and get bounced in the first round. Then when that happens, the Jets fans are going to start complaining. That's the problem.
But that's a good thing to be complaining about. We haven't made the playoffs once in 15 years. If we make it back-to-back years,
That's what I mean. You're complaining.
But I know you're saying that we can't compare to what we've been in the past. But that's where we are right now. We're in hell. We are in fan and organization hell. We need to get out of hell. The first step is get out of hell.
That's not what Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn are thinking, though. They're not fans. They want to do whatever it takes to put this team in the best position to win a Super Bowl. And I don't think you do that by hiring Mike Tapp. But anyways, we're getting off the rails. Let's go back to the questions in the
All
chat.
got it.
We could talk about this another time. Momo, who's helping G-Dub this season? Jack, wide receiver target you got on your mind?
At 7, I like Ted McMillan. Like I said earlier, Tyler Warren's my definitive pick at number 7. But if you were asking in a wide receiver standpoint, I like Ted McMillan a lot. Maybe you go after a guy like Keenan Allen. I get he's old, he's expensive, but I really feel like, if the Jets get him, that can definitely close the bridge, between this not so great receiver room, if you want to say that. But if you're asking me, I like Ted McMillan in this draft. From a receiver standpoint, if you're talking about an overall standpoint, give me Tyler Warren to help Garrett Wilson. Yes, he might be a tight end, but I feel like still a pass catcher, and he doesn't. A pass catcher doesn't even have to be a wide receiver to be your pass catcher too, right? If you look at the Patriots, Rob Gronkowski was arguably the pass catcher too for a long time. Maybe even pass catcher 1 for Brady until Julian Edelman came into the picture. Even then, Gronkowski was still up there with Edelman being the pass catcher 1 in New England. I feel like, it doesn't always have to be a receiver. So if you're asking me, Warren or McMillan, either way.
Let's see, J-Max comes in the chat and says, guys, it's currently a tank year. Coach not signing big free agents and so many holes. I just don't think Aaron Glenn's going to tank.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't agree.
I couldn't disagree with this comment more. So this is exactly what I'm saying. These people are proving my point. People think that you're either tanking or have Super Bowl aspirations. Just because we're not signing all the flashy names that haven't worked, it wasn't a stacked class, by the way. We never had. I know we had top 10, but we never had crazy cap space. By the way, these coaches are being smart. They're signing players that fit the vision of what they want this team to look like. That is how you build a team. I know we do not know how a team needs to be built because we've watched this shit for the past 15 years, but that's how a team should be built. They are building this the right way. If they are good coaches, which I think they are, they will maximize the talent on this team, and we will be an 8 or 9 win team this year.
Plus, tanking doesn't even exist, right? Unless you're Hugh Jackson, which is probably within 2017. And plus, even then, that team was horrendous. I feel like, tanking doesn't really exist. You want to win. I don't see a universe in any coach in history who wants to lose on purpose.
But that's the thing. The coaches don't want to lose.
Stephen Ross.
The organization set like they put in bad players and bad coaches.
Yeah,
tanking's not real unless you're really Hugh Jackson or Steve Ross, like Connor just said. It's not real in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't see Aaron Glenn tanking. But Chris, again, I want to touch on what you said. You're saying you're signing guys who are younger and you're trying to build for the future. Yet you wanted Aaron Rodgers back. That's just the thing. That's the thing that doesn't make sense to me. Like, you're talking about signing guys and building for the future, but you don't do that.
So just listen to the point I'm about to make real quick. So the only difference between having Rodgers and Fields this coming year. So there's pros and cons. So the Rodgers, the pros are you have a higher chance to go 10-7 and you have a higher ceiling. The cons are he's not going to become the face of your franchise and he's not going to get any better. The thing is, if the same scenario would be either way. If the Jets sucked with Fields, then we'd have a top 5 pick and we draft Nussheimer, Duraller, etc. If we suck with Rodgers, even if we're good at Rodgers, we could have done the same thing. We could have traded down to get our quarterback next year. So I'd prefer having a higher chance to win and still getting your franchise quarterback either way than to have Justin Fields. However, that doesn't put a testament. Like, don't confuse that for me hating Justin Fields. I love the Fields signing. I think that's the best thing they could have done to start off the post-Rodgers era. I think they signed him because he's mobile. He fits what Glenn wants as a quarterback. Someone made a great point. I forgot who it was. Glenn is a defensive coordinator. He got beat by rushing quarterbacks so many times. The defense did everything perfect. And then, when the play broke down, the quarterback scrambled. So he signed the guy. He signed Fields, who's a rushing threat. He has a strong arm. He can throw over the middle. There's the pros and upside of Fields is endless. So people see him as just a bridge, and this is a tank year. I think that's delusional. I think people need to look past and see what good things could come out of this. If not even everything. If Glenn is a good coach, just look at Glenn being a good coach. The penalties would be less. This team would be more disciplined. The locker room would be much better. We'd be playing for each other. They'd be playing for the coach. Those are things that guys undermine because us as Jet fans don't understand what that looks like and don't understand how big of a component that plays in having a successful organization and team because of the shit we've seen for the past 15 years.
Parney comes back in and says no one's talking about my boy Adrian Martinez, Jack.
Again, we've really only seen Martinez play in the preseason. I believe he was a practice squad player last year. And, if that's to the point we have to take with get Adrian Martinez as our third string quarterback, then so be it, right? I'm happy to see what Martinez can do. Although he's only really played in the preseason, I'd be open to see what he can do.
Don't say the T word. Don't say tech.
Over drafting a quarterback though, and
No.
having
No. I'm just saying I'm open to it. Doesn't mean that's my number one option, right? I would say my number one option right now is get Kyle McCord in the draft, to be your solid quarterback.
So what are you doing with
Tyrod
Jordan
Taylor.
Travis?
That's the thing, right? We don't even know if he's going to be ready for September, right? And
What do you want to
again,
do
people
with
are.
him? No, he's ready now. But what do you want to do with him?
I probably want to cut him. I would say, I don't think anyone's going to trade for him. I would say maybe cut him right now. Not right now, but cut him in the foreseeable future. The foreseeable future being within the next couple months. I feel like I just don't feel like the Jets can use him, right? And I could be proved wrong. Not saying I'm not. I'm just saying I don't see a universe where the Jets will ever put him on the field within the next year. I would say.
Chris?
That's another point to my don't take a quarterback argument. We can just see what instead of taking a quarterback, just see Adrian Martinez. So yeah, Barney, thank you.
I'm not even going to respond to that. Momo, Rucker needs it to break out this season. I don't even want Rucker on my roster, Chris.
The odds of Rucker breaking out is extremely low. He hasn't shown us anything as a prospect. I'm almost assuming that Warren is going to be on this team come June and July. But if he's not, Rucker does need to break out. If we don't go 10 in the first round, Rucker needs to make the team because then it's going to be a lot of question marks. Well, I mean, we don't need to. He needs to prove he needs to prove that he makes the team. Not we need to sign him. We don't owe anything to Rucker at this point. What he's showing us is that he's a bum. He needs to work his way back up and maybe make a roster spot this year, and then maybe get some meaningful reps in to convince us to keep him. But I think either way, no matter what we do, he's low in the tight end depth chart, even if he does make the team.
Appreciate you all tuning in. Smash the like, hit subscribe. Next Gen Jets, Jack, Connor, and Chris all here with you on a Sunday evening. Vote at the top of our poll if you want to be interested in a Next Gen Jets game meetup. Appreciate all your support. As always, last chance to get on the conversation. Comment to call in, and then last chance to get your questions in here before we wrap. Chris, another episode in the books. How you feeling? You got any final thoughts?
No, I'm feeling great, man, and I'm just so much pessimism clouding this fan base right now. Everyone seems to be more just be more chill. You just look at the best in things because there's no point in being right. People point in being pessimistic because if you want to if your goal is to be right and not see this, you'd rather be right than see this team be good. Well, I know Connor's gonna say, oh, you don't want to live in La La Land, but you can just see the best in things. You can see what Fields could do to succeed and be the face of this franchise. You can see what happens if Aaron Glenn is a good coach. So being right doesn't matter if you're a really true Jet fan. We just all want to see his team be good and stop sucking and being the worst team in all of sports.
Jack.
I agree with Chris, right? You have to be. You can either look at being right or being good. I'd rather look at being right, right? Again, like he said, you gotta believe in the upside of Fields. And
you mean being good, right?
Yeah, that's my fault. And I appreciate you, Connor, for having me back on for a third edition of Next Gen Jets, and I look forward to next week.
Appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, that'll do it for us. Another edition of Next Gen Jets in the books. Jack Cotter, Chris Grasso, Connor Long, all here with you. Signing off here on this Sunday evening. JTS. Jets.
Yes. Jets.
Jets.
Peace.